LR, the liberal redneck here, coming to you from a country where Republicans are so desperate to regain control of the government, they are doing everything in their power to stop people from voting. The states with Republican-controlled legislatures have gerrymandered their states to a ridiculous degree. But because of their dwindling numbers, they're afraid that isn't enough. To make up the differences, they are coming up with a slew of hastily conceived plans to stop as many Democrats as possible from casting their votes. That is not how a democracy operates. Between Monday, April 17th and Thursday, April 20th, the Texas Senate passed at least 9 bills that interfere with the election administration or make it harder to register or to vote. The bills include Senate Bill 990, which would eliminate the county-wide polling program that allows voters to vote at any polling place in their county on Election Day. These voting centers would still be permitted during early voting. Currently, a range of 90 large and small counties are permitted to use county-wide voting centers on Election Day. Senate Bill 220, which would create a system of election marshals to investigate alleged violations of election law and intervene in local election administration. The bill would also disqualify judges from presiding over lawsuits if the election officials party to the suit are from the same jurisdiction, and accelerate the timeline for election lawsuits. Senate Bill 1750, which would eliminate the election administrator position in counties with a population of 3.5 million or more. Houston's Harris County is the only county with this many people in the state, and instead give that authority to the county tax assessor collector and county clerk. Senate Bill 1938, which would permit the Secretary of State to withhold funds from a registrar who fails to perform duties related to challenges to voter registration eligibility. Senate Bill 260, which would initiate the process of removing a voter from the voter registration list if they have not voted in an election in the previous 25 months. Senate Bill 1807, which would create an enforcement mechanism and civil penalty for officials who change any election procedure required by law without authorization. Other Senate-approved bills would require voters to prove their citizenship when registering to vote, adopt new procedures for automatic recounts, add new reporting requirements on county election administrators subject to penalties, and more. All of the bills now head to the Texas House of Representatives, where they have a strong chance of advancing through the Republican-controlled chamber. These are despicable attempts to completely eradicate the democratic process. This type of skullduggery is not limited to Texas. A top Republican lawyer told donors at a Republican National Committee RNC retreat last weekend that conservatives should work to limit voting on college campuses. Cleta Mitchell, a GOP lawyer who assisted former President Trump in his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, called on Saturday for Republicans to combat efforts to turn out college voters, a group that significantly tilts Democratic. We need to be looking at what are these college campuses, locations, and polling. Mitchell said in an audio for the presentation obtained by journalist Lauren Windsor, "What is this young people effort that they do? They basically put the polling place next to the student dorms so they just have to roll out of bed and vote and go back to bed. Tell me, Cleta, where is it written that voting must be painful? Basically, they only want Republicans to vote because that's the only way they can win. Tell them to pound sand. Do whatever you have to do and vote Democrat to preserve our democracy. Thanks for listening.